Hello, all you heroes, villains, and innocent bystanders. Welcome to a different episode of a show that is going to be on my channel, hopefully tomorrow. We're going to do the Memorial Ginny Gentry Book Club. Is that what we decided the title was?
The Jenny Lee Gentry Memorial Book Club.
There we go. Jenny Lee Gentry Memorial Book Club. Me and Jenny started it a couple months ago, before her passing. And it was just me and her. We did a couple books. And then slowly but surely we added all these yahoos into it. This week we did Ex Machina or Ex Machina, depending on who you want to talk to, how to pronounce it, Dal. I'm Alan the Unicorn. This is...
JD.
Terry.
Dalian. JD.
So these guys, Dal and Terry, are from Comic Book Straight Talk. They have their own podcast that they put out. How often do you guys put it out? Just every now and then?
We try to do every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Yes. So it's bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly. That's always a slacker kind of way to put it out. But.
Well, we did do monthly, but we've kind of had to move back to bi-weekly.
So we all thought we would get together and enjoy and celebrate Jenny through our book club. Obviously, they're all going to be comic books. So I made a jar. We got questions in the jar, or the bowl. And we're slowly going to go around and answer some of the questions and make another pick for the week or for the month. So who wants to go first?
I'll do it.
All right, Dal, go for it.
I'll take the bullet.
That's what she said.
Hey, now, wait a minute. This is a family show. Oh, wow. Okay. If they made a movie or TV show, who would make a good cast?
I think Keanu Reeves would actually be a pretty good one. Or they could possibly go older and do like almost a House of Cards kind of thing with superpowers. That's kind of how I have it envisioned, like a non-molesty Kevin Spacey.
As Mayor 100?
Yeah.
Really?
You'd want a younger person.
Yeah, I would say middle age. I mean, Keanu would be probably good.
I think they could get away with an older person though, because it is
I think Hugh Jackman.
That wouldn't be too bad.
No, that's just off the top of my head. I mean, but Mr. Terry here's quiet. So what do you think, Terry? What's your answer?
I don't follow a lot of the newer actors, so I don't know.
I did say middle age. We're middle age, so
right. I am thinking of the show. Kind of reminded me of the guy from the. It's been a while since that show's been on now. The Practice, the lead attorney in The Practice.
Oh, not Dylan McDermott.
Spader. James Spader.
Not James Spader, but Dylan McDermott.
Dylan McDermott. Yeah. I get him and the other guy. But
I think he may be too old for this role now.
No, he would probably do pretty good because
so, yeah.
it is set later on.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you haven't got to read the book, it's basically about a person that has superpowers. They tried being a superhero, and then when they kind of got caught, they changed their avenue of what they were going to do, and they ran for mayor, and they made it. And so it's kind of about
after
him.
9/11.
Yeah, after 9/11.
Yeah, because he was helping. Well, they don't know. We haven't.
Yeah.
Talked to them about the book.
So
yet,
we made it through the first book and a little bit of the second. I think we made it 12 issues is what we decided on.
I read up to 12 issues.
Yeah, that's about what I made it up to, was about 12. So we did a little bit further than the first trade, but anyways, so we'll go for the next question.
Back to that. What about Nathan Fillion, or is he too?
No, he would be a good one. He would be a good. I could see him as a mayor.
I know a lot of people love him, and he's an okay actor to me. He's not like, I don't think the great,
He definitely has an archetype. Like, there's definitely
right.
There is a character, and then there's Nathan Fillion character. It's like,
actually, another guy I just thought about, Seth MacFarlane. After watching
not Galaxy Quest.
Orville.
Orville would be an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think he could pull it off because Hunter's kind of, or not Hunter, but Hunter's kind of funny.
I don't like Nathan Fillion.
He's kind of flippant, but still cares.
Right.
I don't know. I could possibly see that. I think it may. I still would lean more towards like a Dylan McDermott or Nathan Fillion kind of character, where they. I think Nathan Fillion, even though you may not like him, I think he would be good because he does kind of have that air of comedic effect with most of the stuff that he does.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes this book there's a lot of like little one-liners or zingers that he tries to put out, and it kind of work. I think he would work well with that.
Do any of you guys watch Blue Bloods?
Mm-hmm. I've seen like a.
There's I don't know her name, but a blonde that plays the assistant of Tom Selleck's character.
Yeah.
And she would make a good journal.
Yeah, I like Journal. She's a fun character. Who do you think would do good with the Russian guy? Because you would need that one. You would need an older, like grizzled character. You would need somebody that
the guy that played in Arrow. He plays the Russian in Arrow.
Oh yeah.
I don't know his name.
Yeah,
but that guy.
He really would. He's got quite the look.
The guy from if he can do an accent, the guy from Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, he would be. Yeah, he would be really good. Yeah.
The Fixer.
No, I was thinking the main character.
Yeah.
Cranston?
Yeah, Cranston.
Well, what about the Fixer?
He would be good too.
And I was thinking of someone, and then it poofed, so I'll think of it here.
I know who they should not get to play the guy is Kevin Costner.
What about the assistant with the dreads?
Brad. Oh.
I know. It's like I you would have to have somebody that's kind of a millennial, which I don't think there's like many millennial African American actors out there that I really like.
White. I think it's his last name. The guy that played Killmonger.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or
not.
The
I'm sorry, Terry didn't like that character in the movie.
Well, I don't know about the guy, but that character. No.
Cosby's son in the Cosby Show.
Oh, Theo.
I haven't seen him do it in a long time. Yeah.
But he's kind of older now. I think he would be.
Yeah.
He's old. He's probably older than we are.
We could give Urkel
He's
some work.
old.
Yeah, Jaleel White.
Yeah.
Urkel.
Urkel.
Can I do that, Mr. 100?
Go. He has bulked out.
He has, yes.
What's his name? The guy from Criminal Minds. We always called him the tackler. What is his name?
Shamar Moore.
Yes.
I don't know.
Could he pull off dreads though?
I don't know, but I'd be okay with Jim's hairstyle.
If he didn't have dreads or not, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It's
I was like, if you should do the show half naked, I'd be fine with that.
Another one that would be good for 100 would be the guy that plays the fire captain on 911. He's got kind of.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Look.
Yeah. All right, let's pull another question. Go ahead, Terry.
I can't reach the questions.
Terry has dinosaur problems.
It's okay.
His arms.
Long legs and tiny arms.
Do you think the main character was a good choice for the point of view of the story?
Well, I mean,
I don't think so. I think honestly, like even though he's the main focus, I think it would have been better if they actually used more of the peripheral characters than they actually did. Even though they tried to give them somewhat of a story occasionally, like with the gay marriage with the assistant's brother, and then Scout, our journal had the painting lady. You know, they kind of tried to give them, but they really didn't use them hardly at all.
I read it that it wasn't really. It was kind of seen through
his eyes.
Not really his eyes, but everyone around his eyes. But it was just focused on him.
Well,
though,
and
in a way.
I went back and reread it last night, and the opening thing is him looking back on his tenure as mayor, and this is where it all went wrong. So I'm assuming as the book goes along that something.
Yeah,
awful happened.
They do move it from his point later in the series, but
see, I only read up to the 12 one, so I didn't go past that.
Well, that's.
Have you read the whole series before?
I read it when it first came out, so that's been.
Have you read the book before, Terry?
Nope. This is the first go around.
I started and hadn't gotten very far, and
yeah, I hadn't read it before at all. I've seen it out, and everybody's it's kind of been highly acclaimed. Or highly recommended by a lot of people, but I never did get into it.
I thought it was for the most part from his point of view, but he would then cut off, interject, and let the other characters kind of develop the story as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
and
know.
it was told third person enough so
Right.
you could have a scene that he wasn't in.
Well, there's several
have the
of
other
Because in a
characters,
first person thing, you
Because in the first
can't
few,
do that.
first few chapters, you got the scene between the bodyguard and the Russian. That there's a history there,
Yeah.
and so you had stories, without him being right there. So.
Yeah. I just
But it
didn't
still
feel like
felt like at times even though he wasn't there, he was kind of
still there.
Still
like,
there,
away.
you know.
Like the whole shadow of the mantle
His
of him.
presence.
His like Batman doesn't show up in the book at all, but you know he's there in the shadows somewhere. Is that what you're trying to say?
All right, pick another
my
question
friend.
before
No.
Dal speaks again.
And
Hey.
now we're talking about. Did you have a least favorite character?
Yes. 100.
I didn't like Kremlin.
Really? He was
I-
my favorite.
I like Kremlin.
I didn't
Is
like him. He was. I just didn't like him. He was
Sorry if that's too loud.
too focused. He was. You have to be the great machine.
that's
Anything else
That's
is
what I liked about him.
is a
Yeah.
failure. I didn't.
So did you have a
like
least
that.
favorite character?
His was it his assistant,
Rodney?
the African American gentleman?
Yeah.
I think it was Rodney.
I only because they were always butting heads. Which I understood. I mean, he's trying to help him at the same time, but they just never could seem to ever agree on anything. So I don't know how they made any progress.
I really didn't care for, and it was actually a minor character, but the artist. I didn't like
the
the,
one
artist.
that
did
journal I'm talking to.
I feel like almost like that whole storyline was almost like a whole shock value kind of thing, which I understand that it gave him something to do.
I
and
liked
kind of
the
fun.
way that it played out and the way that Journal figured out.
Right.
She's like, you did this mostly
she kind of read her
to get your rep back.
But I didn't like her. I think it was
Yeah.
almost like she was written too angsty or too aggressive, which I really didn't.
Because I don't know that much about the professional art world, but it has to be
it's
very
cutthroat.
weird and cutthroat, and
I'm sure.
I'm sure that you have to do weird things like wear a meat suit to keep
It's
your
true.
place on top.
That's right. Jane or Dal, did you have anybody that you didn't like?
Yeah, I didn't like the main character that much.
Oh, the Hundred.
Yeah, but I liked.
Why didn't you
Kremlin.
like?
It came across me as kind of like a douche, a tool, and so, but I liked Kremlin. I liked the bodyguard. I liked all the other supporting characters.
All right. Let's see. Does the book feel current? I feel like even though it took place after it was kind of right after 9/11, I still feel like it was. I almost felt a lot of the stuff is kind of nowadays too.
Right.
I didn't feel like it was too outdated or the premise was too backwards.
And we're so old that 9/11 still feels current,
They're
even
all
though it
old.
was
I'm not
20
that old.
years old, 20 years
Well,
ago.
Yes, you are.
I know. Shut up.
We were there. We watched it happen.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's still current in our brain. I mean, we can see it happening.
Well, I mean, I feel like even
The
with,
post 9/11 world is still, even though we've
kind of forgotten about it, when we do look back at it, it becomes vivid again.
Well, I still feel like even the look of the book, the
Right.
backgrounds of the book, the colors they used, the clothing that was on everybody, still didn't feel like it was really super dated. I feel like sometimes there's certain artists that
they were
are
more current.
right.
Right, yeah.
Certain artists that will, you. The one that comes to mind is John Byrne. It seems like everybody he draws feels like they're from the 60s or the
Right.
70s. All the outfits, everything looks like it's from so it looks dated.
Was
I
there
feel
enough-
like this one still felt.
But also with this being less of a superhero book, people wore street clothes and suits,
Right,
and
yeah.
But
people
even that,
still wear those.
you can still tell when they're bell bottoms versus leg warmers versus zoot suits and so I still feel like even with the fashion in the book, I didn't feel like there was one person that was like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't feel that there was enough zoot suits.
There wasn't enough.
Yeah, there was
shoulder pads
not
either.
definitely not
No.
enough zoot suits
Or
at
shoulder
all
pads.
Or
times.
shoulder pads.
There's never enough shoulder pads ever.
Which I think
But it's funny, you go back and look at like Mad Men, and all the suits and stuff looked somewhat current. That styles changed, but then came back to that.
But I feel like a lot of the women...
show from the 80s would look more dated in terms of clothing than a show from...
I feel though, like with the women
50s.
and the women in Mad Men, like their hair and the way they dressed and the way they presented themselves was a lot different.
Right.
And that made it feel dated. Like that made it feel like it was back in the day. Even though a lot of that style has come back and is now more current, it still lends itself to be more dated because even the current style is more of a retro style. You are paying homage to that older style. So I still felt like it was current though, and it really kind of resonated.
Not on the fashion, but the art though. He if I'm correct, he just came off doing Starman.
Oh, the artist,
Tony Harris, and so the style. There was if you're a big fan of his stuff, and you through Starman and you looked at it, it was kind of a disconnect.
Yeah,
because it wasn't that Starman style that he did. This was more, and so. I mean, it was an updating style. I guess I should say is what I'm saying. So.
Well, that would which is good for Tony Harris because you wouldn't want the Starman style for this book.
Yeah, I don't think.
It shows his
right. As an
Starman
artist,
was a lot darker, had a lot more shadows.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of that had to do with the inking too.
Probably.
Yeah, there's probably this. Well, this one even the colors. Like I feel like Starman is always very dark and muted.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And I feel like this one was not
bright
all of
and
it,
sunny.
but there was a lot more bright and airy spaces into a lot of the sceneries and stuff like that. Even the offices felt like they would put it at an angle where
there was a lot of negative space in it, definitely.
Yeah, there was.
And there was everything was kind of just at a slight angle.
Yeah, it wasn't like you were looking directly on. You were kind of like above them and taking a good selfie. So, all right, go ahead, Dow.
Oh, you're not drawing them?
All right, you.
Oh, you're doing one. Oh, you do. I'm sorry. That's right.
Last one.
Are you glad you read it?
Do you feel like?
I'm set to answer. I was asking if you all to answer, not person to answer. Yes and no. Reading it the second time, it seems a lot slower, than it did the first time. But maybe that's because it's all at one time, and you're not having to, wait, the month to get the new issue.
That is true. It is different when you read it in trade.
Yes.
Terry, did you feel like you like?
I've got a yes and no as well. If I hadn't read that 12th issue, I probably wouldn't want to continue on with it because the first 11 kind of set up certain things, but there's like a whole bunch of little stories within there that don't really seem to. I don't think they're going to carry on.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there's a lot of pointless stuff going on in those first 11 issues.
I mean, it's not a barn burner. I mean, it's a slow.
No, it's not.
It's a slow.
But there's a lot of seemed like a lot of pointless stuff just to get to issue 12.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And at the same time, I also got tired. I mean, I see politics in real life, so I got tired of that as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Well, when it first came, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, James, but when it first came out, though, there wasn't all this political crap that we have now, though. So I think maybe
there was.
Well, I mean, it wasn't.
I don't
as
feel like it's
different
charged.
It wasn't
as
as charged, right? No,
Probably not as charged.
because we didn't have Facebook.
Yeah.
We didn't have the whole social media as much. I think if you would have read it back then, you would have liked it more.
Possibly.
So I'm sorry. Now go ahead, James.
I liked it. Now, I like political dramas on TV. I hate political drama in real life, but, I love The West Wing. I love...
House of Cards.
That one was okay, but...
Dark.
It was dark, but it kind of...
There's another one that I was
getting into that.
thinking of, but I'm going blank at the moment. But
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying.
Madam Secretary.
I wasn't mad that I read it. Like I feel like I picked the last one we did. Not Dark Hammer. What is it? Black Hammer. Wasn't the one we did?
Yes.
Black Hammer was last comic club pick, and it was mine. God, that was atrocious. Like I was mad. I read it. Like that was a horrible
I read the
pick.
first issue, and I'm like, oh, this is crap.
I really wanted it to be so good, and just never. But anyways,
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad as that, but I didn't feel like
Right.
I definitely don't think I'm gonna continue. I'm not super excited to pick it up and finish the series out.
I want to finish it, but I'm not just like I have to finish
Right,
this
like
right now. It's like
Something that'll
someday I'd like to finish
Right.
this and see how this all turns out. But
If I'd only read up to issue 11, I wouldn't want to maybe read later on. But in issue 12, when they introduced that new character,
See, and I
that
I
kind
went
of
to issue
makes
12
me
and
a
I
little
still,
bit interested.
I mean, like I said, I wasn't mad that I read the series. I still thought it was, I went through. I didn't feel like it did feel kind of a grind sometimes
Mhm.
because, like you said, it is kind
And
of a slower book.
only
But-
has 50 issues, so
Yeah.
there
There
is
is
an
an
end
end, yeah.
that there.
That is true.
Because there's a lot
But-
of, like Walking Dead, it's like, is there an
Forever.
end?
One thing we haven't said though is that in issue 12 they introduced somebody that has the same powers, the same get up
Right.
as Mayor 100,
Right.
and can do kind of the same thing. So
All right, Terry.
Should have like a golden ticket one. That's
I know I need to
where
get a
you
better
can-
bowl.
where you can.
is there anything left unresolved you would like to know the outcome of? Well,
I'd like to know where his powers came from.
Yeah, like I
how
said,
they
when I-
work.
when I hit issue 12 and this new character is introduced, I kind of might continue reading it later on. So there's issues with this new character that's unresolved. Where did he come from? Where did he get this
Yeah,
machinery?
but didn't it show how he got his powers in that?
No, he
Briefly.
found
I
that
mean,
little
it
artifact.
show
which
when
was
he
made-
got them, but it's
Yeah.
there's no origin and
Okay.
Right.
you
or
know
where that
it's-
thing is from, where that artifact is
Okay.
from. But I think that's what they're kind of alluding to. And like you said, like in the 12 issues, you still don't get there,
No.
which I feel like is
Well,
made
and
it a little bit
you know,
more.
and it's not like computers or things that are intrinsically controllable. I mean, it's a mechanical gun. It's like, how can this do what he tells it
yeah,
to? There's
Well, you can control
I don't
computers too,
disagree. I just
right,
though. Right,
but
but yeah,
but
But
you
so
know,
much
a
shooting, I
computer can't control a handgun.
right,
They,
right,
they allude
No
to
matter
it
how
being-
many circuits you put into it.
right.
They allude to it being possibly some sort of UFO or
Right, more
Area 51
aliens.
type thing.
like the aliens underground, but like through 12 issues, you never get there.
Mm-mm.
And I honestly, after 12 issues, if you haven't resolved some of the stuff, I don't. It
Yeah, 'cause
doesn't
they-
bother.
there
I
was-
don't care if you resolve it now. I'm just like I'm done.
They were so busy with these other small stories that don't seem to have any consequence to
Right.
the main story.
I almost feel like
See,
this,
I like the day-to-day running of the city, and
I think that I would have been more.
Sometimes too.
I would have been more inclined to be in the day-of-day things if they wouldn't have started off with the more of the superhero angle. Like, because they started off with the superhero angle, they started off with that weird thing underneath that's killing the dogs and killing the people. Like, they started off with that, and then it never resolved after 12 issues. It still
Right.
never kind of got there and finished. And I feel like if they would have started off with more of the day-to-day, and then, like, maybe at the end of the first issue, be like, oh, also, by the way, I was a superhero at one point. I think I would have been more inclined to stick with it more day to day, but because you start off with kind of this big reveal, like that you were this thing, and then so you're telling me that you're slowly going to start revealing these things, and it never gets there, and that's a hard because 12 issues, that's a long time, that's a year.
Yeah, it's a year and you still haven't resolved anything.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, it's almost like watching
at least
Lost.
a hint.
Yeah, I know, right?
I watched
Yeah.
all of Lost,
Yeah,
and I was
still
like,
feel like I have questions.
it's like, come on.
That's neither here nor there, though. But I mean,
And that's like I've said before on the podcast. My favorite Batman miniseries is the Batman Gotham Knights.
yeah.
The 4-issue miniseries, because it deals with the people of Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
I think Batman shows up like on the building or something, but it's the story of the people. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have done 2 issues of something like that, as like do 6 issues, this is the Mayor 100, blah 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 blah. 2 issues of the city people working.
Yeah, I definitely.
As a kind of a break, I think it would have been better. So.
All right, Terry. Or
James.
That'd be James.
It's JD. It's JD. JD.
What was one of your favorite surprises in the comic? it was both a surprise and a letdown. Was the kid that was killing the snow removal people? They wanted to build it up that this was a rival superhero or something, and then it was just some kid that wanted out of school, and then he caps himself, and there was just, it was like that was shoehorned in, and I don't know if it was a good surprise, probably a bad surprise, but that it wasn't Kremlin or whoever trying to, it was just some kid.
I always thought the reveals of all the victims, like the ones that are underground, where like they were just splayed open. I felt like those were kind of like a surprise because you knew they were going to come up on something, and then they showed this like horrific thing. And I was just like, God, that was really just that kind of disturbed me a little bit. But I thought that was an interesting little shock.
One of the most interesting things for the whole story that you never really get resolved because it never gets there after issue 12. So
all right.
Thanks, Al.
What?
Thanks for that input, Al.
No, I inputted. I agreed.
How original and unique was the premise of the book? I actually thought they did. I thought the one thing that was really neat and different about it was the fact that they did do it more of a realistic people situation. That it was more of like a West Wing or some kind of presidential show about politics, like House of Cards. That they did show that more.
The superpowers were almost a MacGuffin to explain, he had enough political power from being a hero that at least at the beginning he could do whatever he wanted.
Yes.
He could spend political capital that normal people couldn't spend to do controversial things because he's the guy that saved the city.
Right,
and then he slowly eroded through that, but
he was a hero of the people. Even when he, I don't think he had eroded through it yet. I think he was just in the midst of still being that hero, and it might be fading as more political issues came up, and he was choosing one side or another.
Right. Because a lot of times he was middle of the road.
Yeah.
He tried to,
but like the gay marriage, he was able to punch that through basically because
he needed the political charge for that, and he also wanted to do good.
Right.
But I did feel like that was almost the unique thing about the book was even though I feel like nowadays a lot more people or a lot more comic books and comic book companies are getting I don't think away from superheroes, but they are doing. There's a lot more genres out there that I think people are exploring more and more and more.
Right.
And I feel like this definitely has its own little.
And
niche.
the guy that tried being a superhero, and it's like, man, the real life thing of being a superhero, it's if you want to change the world, that's not how you do it.
That's not how you do it. But I did think that was kind of a unique approach.
Or he might have been finding out that maybe he may have to be a superhero to change the world. Maybe because he's dealing with so much
red tape
that he can't make any progress this way.
I mean, it's kind of like, a lot of us talk about, well, what would the world be like if Batman, Bruce Wayne became president, blah, 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 blah. This kind of answers that a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, I mean, he was a hero of the people. He, ran for mayor. He's just not going to sit around and be a billionaire playboy.
Yeah, I just think especially when it came out, I think it was definitely a book that was unique because it definitely showed a more realistic side of the world.
Oh, yeah.
And not just the superhero-y Hall of Justice.
And early on they were like, we specifically don't want you to use your... a lot of books it would be, how can you use your powers to help the city? Yeah. And they're like, the police chiefs, like, do not use your powers.
Well, he didn't want to use his powers either.
Yeah, and the NSA, don't use your powers. Don't tell anybody about your powers.
Well, there's one scene
you're just a guy.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's being photographed, and he didn't want to be. He's like, cameras off. And like, that's awesome.
He wanted it off the record.
Yeah.
All right, one more round?
One more round.
One more round, and we'll see where we're at.
I'm going to shake it up a little bit here, all random
Get
questions.
the bottom. Get the
golden ticket.
Bottom, yes.
I got a golden ticket.
Well, we kind of answered this, but did the art work for or against the book? I think it worked for it.
I think it worked for it.
artwork was good.
Yeah, I think the artwork was really talented. It fit really well.
Nice,
Everybody
easy
looked
softball
really
question.
realistic. The angles that we talked about earlier were really good. The brightness, I think, even when they did the dark tones, they still, like you said, had that negative space where they showed like the expanse of the world, I think.
And it's set, as I said, after 9/11 in New York.
Yeah.
It's not like a fictional metropolis,
Right.
So the buildings, you can kind of
see, the bridge when he's around the bridge,
right,
yeah. And
I
stuff.
really had these interesting duller hues of color that really fit the story.
Yeah, especially when they were like in the sewers, or when they would do like he would meet somebody in the clandestine, like cameras off and like everything's out.
Right.
Yeah.
And the nights were these nice, interesting blues.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, the snow when they with the kid off with snow drivers, it's still that pretty.
Yes.
It's still pretty.
It's very stark and yeah, he definitely did really well with all that. Even like the colors and the inking, I think they worked really well.
Would this be a book you would have picked up prior to Comic Club? Yes, because I read a lot of his stuff. I'd never gotten around to that one, but later on when I did start reading some of his stuff, I probably would eventually got back and tried to read that book.
Well, it was my pick, so definitely I forced it on everybody else.
You forced it on me. I would have never. I didn't pick it up when it came out, even though I knew it was, there was a buzz about it. But I just never had any desire, and I still would have not. If it wasn't forced upon me, I wouldn't have picked it up. So I don't think I would have. But you actually did read it. So.
I did. Yeah, I picked it up monthly.
Do you hate me now?
No, it was better than my choice last time.
I'm still not over that.
That Black Hammer was pretty bad.
And like I said, you made it the whole trade. I made it one issue going. I have no desire to.
No, I forced myself to that trade, but this one, even though it was slow, I didn't feel like I was.
It was kind of an exciting.
I wasn't angry reading it.
Right.
Gosh dang it! Otherwise, I probably would have been
James
texting
friendship
you.
over.
Yeah, exactly. No picks for James. All right.
Okay. Do you think this is a pretty straightforward story, or was there a lot of metaphor or symbolism? I think there was metaphor and symbolism.
See, I don't know. I disagree. I feel like there was a lot of. I think the story was pretty straightforward. They told what the story they wanted to do, but I don't feel like anybody represented like Zeus or something like that. I don't know.
Though in a way he could be seen as the American dream, though.
Yeah,
100 could be,
that's true.
In a way, so that could be his rise and.
I'm not a good judge of this either, though.
I'm just spitballing that one because
Doomsday Clock and Watchmen. I just read it to read it, and it's it's definitely not one that I'm like, oh well, this is the way that the America's supposed to feel, and he really is, and I don't have that kind of.
I don't think that we've read enough issues to. I think there is a start of metaphors and symbolism that we haven't gotten to yet.
So do you want to continue on and read the whole 50 issues and come back and talk about it?
I'll probably read them eventually. It's not high on my list.
I don't want to.
I think Alan's kind of like.
I wait for Terry to pick his. Let him see what his pick is and see what kind of horrible pick I have to get through next time. We'll go from there. All right.
Last question.
Make
a good one. Fabulous cash prizes.
We do need a Vanna. What do you think of the pacing of the issues we read? I thought it was really slow. I wish I wanted more in 12 issues. Like we said earlier, that's a year of comic books. I really do feel like there may be better payoff in the series, but for the 12 issues that we read, I feel like the pacing was really slow.
It was a little, I felt it was a little on the slow side, but
I didn't think the pacing was all that bad. I just thought that there was too many, as I've already said, too many things in there that were inconsequential.
No, we get
Consequential.
Quenchel.
Yeah, that.
Quenchel's donuts.
That just kind of.
That didn't matter.
Didn't matter. So I just let's skip to what matters and get to the meat of the story.
They really did. They took more of the side stories. Became definitely more of
the running of the city, the day to day.
Well, even the gay marriage thing became more of a big story than it should have been. Because even he was using it as more, and I get that it was trying to be a vehicle to go somewhere, but I still feel like.
And there were probably too many.
Yeah.
They should have had.
There were a lot of side
one inconsequential story.
Right. And maybe
Not
even had
three.
these other things on the peripheral so that if they needed to use them somewhere out,
Right.
they could have done something
I
more.
mean, you could have dropped, talking about the sewer monster, kind of a sewer thing. Hey, this, and then 5 or 6 issues later, come
Brought it
back to
up.
that.
Yeah,
and
but
then
they
deal
kept
with
that. They kept that thing going. And same with the snow thing. With the
Yeah, they could have kept that
the
building
snow-
more.
snowmobile murders. Like he kept.
Right, they could have kept on going instead of ending.
Yeah.
The whole art thing, I don't think that needed to be there at all. Really,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could have been mentioned.
The only thing it
as
really
passing
developed
by
was the
Journal's character.
Journal's
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, I think
Unless they use that other character later on too, the artist herself.
Yeah, that's true.
And I can't tell you yes or no because I don't recall because it's been so long ago. I've slept since then, and so.
All right. So.
And actually, going back to another question we had that I just kind of thought of an answer for that we answered multiples of an actor, and I say this that I would like to see this actor do it, and embrace it, and if they were going to make more franchises movies of these, would be Charlie Sheen.
Ugh,
And I say
God.
that because of Spin City, he
Yeah.
came in that, and everyone. I mean, Rodney, the guy Tony Stark. I just blanked on his name.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. He was so screwed up before
Yeah.
he embraced playing Tony Stark, and I think that if Sheen could do it, he'd be older, but but you're reflecting back.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
just don't see Charlie Sheen as the hero though either.
But I'm just wait. Did you see Robert Downey Jr. as a hero before Iron Man?
Absolutely.
He is my hero. It's my personal hero.
In your dreams, guys. Okay, and I'm just saying he would have been good.
All right. So overall, out of the 12 issues that we read, what kind of rating would you give it? 1 out of 5.
I would give it probably a B minus, probably low C.
That was
plus.
not even in the thing I said. Wasn't even
It's a
remotely
rating.
in
It's
the
a
realm
rating.
of anything I said, Dal. I
So we do
literally
1
gave
to
you.
10?
I gave you
gave
1 to
numbers.
5.
Oh, 1 to 5.
I gave you a
Letters.
number rating. I gave you what to say, and you jacked it up. How do you do that, Dal? Like that's a gift. Like that is a true potential
On a
gift.
rating of 1
Can
to
you get
5,
paid for
I
that?
would give this a purple.
Yeah.
All right, on a 1 to 5. Okay, I'm sorry. I was formulating my answer when I didn't hear that. 1 to 5, I'd give it probably a 3.
I would give it a 3 because I don't know if I want to continue it.
3, low 4. I don't want to agree with Terry.
3.5, because it's
You enjoyed the
a 3's
political
right
aspect.
down the middle, and 4 is pushing it. But I would like to keep reading this.
I would probably give it maybe a 2.5,
I
3.
would
I would say 3.
Probably
just
go
because,
on and read this before I go back and read Watchmen.
I don't know. That one's a tough one. This just wasn't my particular type of
Though
book.
with
Like,
Watchmen, you read 12, you're done.
That's
And
true.
with this one, you
That's
read
true.
12, and you're like,
How
I'm
many more
not
do I
even a
have?
third of the way
Yeah.
through.
I don't even know if all right, so our next thing is going to be picking our next book, which is going to be what, Terry? Terry, it's your choice.
If you pick another book by the same writer, I'm taking that hat off and beating you
No,
with it.
I think this is gonna be a tough book for everybody to read, but I've been interested in reading Uber.
What?
Uber.
Uber?
Uber?
Mm-hmm.
I have not.
I'm on board with that.
Uber?
I have never heard anything about this.
Yes.
Now, are we doing the first trade? Are we doing the whole series?
No, we're just
No,
gonna
no.
do like no, just like
The
we
first
always try to do the
6.
first 6.
Okay.
First, you know.
So first 6 for
Now,
now.
the original, not the
Right.
re-spin
Not
that they've
the- not
done.
the
Oh, man.
So how many trades is there? Do you know?
I'll have to look. I don't know.
Like,
It
is
seems
it
like it seems like the
5 or
first
6?
trade may actually be.
The first
It
series?
went on for a long time.
It might actually be 11 issues. Really, I don't remember. Because like I
Right.
said, I've never read it.
So what we'll do is we'll do the first trade, and if we decide that we are going to go on, we'll talk in the movie or we'll talk in the thread, and we may move on. So we may get up to the second trade, we may not. It depends on how much we love it. But that'll be it. Uber is going to be our next.
Alan's
next
on,
one.
Alan's on the second issue. He's like, I can't take
I
it.
can't do it.
This is not about drivers, though. Uber drivers.
Okay.
No, it's
I've never even heard of this. I have no idea.
It's done by
It's
Avatar.
World War II superpowers in World War II.
Germany wins.
I
Yeah.
may
There's
I may
20
be into this.
There's 27 issues in the first
Trade?
No,
Story,
in the
first
first-
Oh, I was
the
like,
first
jeez.
Yeah. So take
Like,
off.
you're gonna have to pick again.
in the first arc, and then there's Uber Invasion, which I think's going on right now.
Is that the newest one?
And it's up to 17.
Okay. So we'll do the first trade, and if we decide to move on or do more,
We'll discuss it.
we'll discuss it at the time. So that'll be our new book for next week. So next month. So we'll do with Christmas coming up. We may have to
Maybe after Christmas.
maybe after Christmas. So we'll try to see when we'll set up a time. But if you get a chance and you want to join the club with us, please read at least the first trade of Uber, and then we'll catch you next month with maybe another show. We'll see how much I can talk these guys into. So thank you for.
It's all up to you.
It's all. Or if there's something that we need to read, I know we all got our own
decide our
picks.
fate. Oh, wait,
yeah.
no, that sounds scary.
So if there's something that you think would be great to read, a lot of us have been in the comic community for many years.
Too long.
So we've read a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. So if you have a more obscure book, those are always better because I think that's what kind of this club is about, is trying to gravitate to something that we haven't read or we wouldn't read normally.
I think Dow's read Uber, but Dow's read everything practically. So.
Yeah.
Actually, I've read the first issue of Uber,
Okay, so
and I threw it across the room.
Well, this will be a fun month.
Going, wow.
like I said, this may be a tough one to get through.
This may be the end of our this may be the last book club. Ginny Gentry comic book club may be the last one. Thank you for ruining it for everybody.
What do you think, Jenny? Yeah,
Yeah, look, she looks super excited.
Oh, is that an eye
She's
roll?
excited about it.
Yeah, she's
Bring
smiling
out the
about it.
frowny, Jenny.
So yeah, we're frowny Jenny. So thank you for everybody for coming here and sitting with us and talking and giving into my whims. I appreciate it. So we'll see you guys next month, and until then, hopefully your pull list is full. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.